but you lose most of the unaffiliated voters. This may be why Representative Lauren Boebert's race is so close. If you're not pro-Trump, you can win unaffiliated voters, but you lose the Trump wing of your own party. And while it may be a relatively small wing, Republican candidates need every Republican voter to win. I think this is the last election for the foreseeable future where Colorado will be seen as a potential swing state. We are officially blue. We have both sides of the story tonight. Alan Janae is down in Denver's Tech Center at the Republican headquarters, but let's get over to Kelly Worthman in the winner's camp tonight. Kelly?
Well, Sean, there's still a lot of excitement in this room tonight. Of course, Democrats very excited and energized by their victories that have already been called this evening. And that includes Governor Jared Polis, who secured his second term this evening. And we talked to him shortly after his acceptance speech. What do the next 4 years hold for you? What are the...
Yeah, we've come a long way. We got free preschool and kindergarten done. We're working hard on renewable energy and saving people money on utilities. We've gotten dozens of things passed to save people money, but we need to do even more because costs are going up. We need more opportunities for people to live close to jobs. So housing that people can afford, both to buy and to rent. We've got to get that done. We need to make our schools the best in the nation. And of course, we need to make Colorado one of the safest states in the nation. And we have a comprehensive agenda to fight crime and make Colorado safer.
That, of course, is a lot of the issues, those tough tackle issues that a lot of the Democrats here have been addressing, saying that those are going to be their priorities for the next several years. And that includes incumbent Senator Michael Bennet, who also secured now his third term in office. He told me, at least early on in the night, that he was not so sure that we could call Colorado true blue. But as the hours continue, that could change, of course. But he also says it is very clear that Coloradans are calling on the Democrats to tackle the tough issues facing our state and our nation. What are your top priorities?
I think my top priority for America and for Colorado is to create an economy in this country that when it grows for everybody, not just the people at the very top. We've had 40 years of trickle-down economics where working people and middle-class families are struggling just to make ends meet. We can't accept that anymore. Obviously, I'd like to make the child tax credit, which I've worked on all these years, permanent. And then it's very important to me that we continue to do the work I've already started to protect our watersheds.
And just moments ago, I actually spoke with Attorney General Phil Weiser, who spoke to some of those same issues. Again, the excitement is clearly here in the Democratic headquarters. While the room might be thinning out ever so slightly, I think that this is going to be a very exciting night for those who have supported the Democrats these last several months. Reporting live in downtown Denver, I'm Kelly Worthman, covering Colorado First.
Thank you, Kelly. It's a much different story in Denver's Tech Center at the Republican headquarters, where Alan Janae is tonight. Alan, tough night for Republicans.
Well, it really was, Sean, and things have gone pretty much quiet here now because many of the races a lot of these folks had hopes for really are over at this point. However, Congressional District 8 is still outstanding. We will see what happens, but it could be quite a while before we know what truly happens there. The big story of tonight was Joe O'Dea, and he talked to the folks earlier conceding defeat, talking about it was a tough pill to swallow, and he stayed true to his core and to his beliefs throughout this race, but he said it was a very disappointing outcome. I also spoke with him after this, and here's what he told me.
We ran one hell of a campaign. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of all the people that helped me for the last year and a half, and we just came up short. The bottom line is I'll go back to work sometime this week and get back in my life.
I asked him if he was considering any future political office. He had nothing to say yet about that. And we talked about the future of the Republican Party. I asked, is this now a blue state, as Sean Boyd just talked about? He didn't talk or address that, but O'Dea did say that he does have hopes. He wants to stay in the state of Colorado and wants to continue to work on things here. Also speaking tonight, disappointed Pam Anderson, who ran for Secretary of State. And she addressed the crowd, talking about the need to respect election results, and she said that voting has been weaponized by both sides, and that still concerns her. In Greenwood Village, I'm Alan Janae, covering Colorado First. And let's go to Karen Warfit now. She is in Sedalia tonight, and that's where Heidi Ganahl went after leaving here. Karen?
Well, Alan, Alan, to the dozens of supporters that had filled this campaign election night watch party here in Sedalia, Ganal got up and gave her concession speech, starting with an apology, saying to those supporters she's sorry that she couldn't pull this one off. In her concession speech tonight, Ganal thanked her team and her family, fighting back tears at times, her daughter even coming up and standing beside her at one point. Ganal, who ran as a mom on a mission, made education and Colorado kids a priority for her campaign and didn't ease up on that message even after her defeat, saying that those issues continue to be real. Finally, she called on Governor Jared Polis to be a governor for all of Colorado.
To our volunteers and supporters who gave their time and talent and treasure and prayers for months, waving signs, attending rallies, making calls, knocking on doors, you are the backbone of this state. Thank you.
And that was her thanking her supporters again. I was able to speak with Ganal one-on-one after that speech, and I did ask her if that last-minute conservative media blitz maybe hurt her overall campaign this last day or this last weekend and so, and she says absolutely not. She felt that it would possibly help bring the party together. For now, we're live in Sedalia. Karen Morfitt covering Colorado First. Alan.
Karen, thanks very much. You know, there will be a time of review, a period of review for the Republican Party after these election results. And putting Joe O'Dea up, a very moderate, anti-Trump Republican, and his the outcome of this race really is going to have them doing a lot of navel-gazing. And Sean Boyd, I know that they'll have to try and figure out where you get the support. Do you go to the right, or do you try to bring in all those unaffiliated voters who are far and away the greatest proportion in the state of Colorado?
Right, but they need the unaffiliated voters too. That is the predicament that they are in, Alan. Yeah, Republicans will definitely be doing some soul searching after tonight about how really they stay relevant in this state.
It'll be a tough battle going forward. We'll find out. Just have to do a little retooling. Well, right now, I want to turn our attention to the school funding measures voters decided across our state.
This is an issue we've been following for months now, as many districts say they are having a hard time filling open positions, and staff say they certainly want higher pay. We do have team coverage for you tonight from our community journalists all across the Front Range for you. On this critical issue, we have Connor McHugh in Douglas County for you, Olivia Young in Adams County taking a look at Brighton 27J schools, and Dylan Thomas up north with an eye on Weld RE4.
Want to start there and measure 4B, Weld RE4, asking voters to approve a $300 million bond issue. They need new schools, and it looks like those voters in the district said, we agree, winning by 55 to 45%. And Measure 4C asking voters there to increase taxes by $5 million through a mill levy to boost teacher and support pay. Want to get over to Dylan Thomas, our reporter committed to covering northern Colorado. And Dylan, it's been an interesting night up in that part of the state.
And Jim, as you just noticed, it looks like those are going to pass. But as you can see behind me, they are still bringing in ballots as we speak, dropping them off. They'll be taken out of those envelopes and then processed, counted, and verified here in Weld County. Just one quick update for you. It looks like the levy to go ahead and increase teacher pay in Weld RE4 is going to pass. It also looks like the expansion call to build 2 more elementary schools, 1 a middle school, and several other additions is going to pass. And then we should also know, in Windsor, it looks like they're actually going to be buying more open space land, the town wanting to add to their open space collection, saying that a lot of the towns nearby like Timnitz, Severance, Greeley are starting to encroach in the area. So for those of you who live in Windsor or work in the Weld RE4 school district, it looks like it was a successful night for those of you who are on that side. Reporting live in Weld County, Dylan Thomas covering Colorado First.
All right, Dylan, thank you. In Adams County now, Brighton 27J schools asking voters to approve a mill levy override that would raise nearly $18 million a year for school operations. Our Olivia Young, dedicated to covering these issues for Adams County for us, joins us live there tonight. Olivia.
Well, Karen, we've been following this all day, and it's looking like voters have approved that property tax increase to benefit schools here in Brighton. And this is a big deal because the previous 7 attempts by this district have failed in the last 20 years. Now, if this does indeed pass, it will increase property tax by about $55 a year per $100,000 in home value. That funding will go to make schools safer, to pay teachers more, because teachers in this district are actually paid significantly less than in other districts. We just came from a watch party with the district, and the superintendent is feeling optimistic that this will pass and that the funding will help them pay teachers more. Now, of course, another big Adams County race we've also been watching for Colorado's 8th congressional district. Still too close to call between Yadira Caraveo and Barbara Kirkmeyer. We'll be keeping an eye on that. In Adams County, I'm Olivia Young, covering Colorado First.
Olivia, thanks so much. Now to Douglas County. Voters presented with 2 measures regarding education. 5A asking voters to approve a mill levy override to raise $60 million to boost teacher and staff pay. Also, a much more sizable measure, 5B, asking voters to increase the district's debt by $450 million to build new schools and do some much-needed maintenance on the older ones.
Yeah, let's get over to Connor McHugh, who lives in Douglas County, live in Douglas County for us tonight. And Connor, you've been following these measures closely.
Yeah, Karen, tonight supporters of those 2 measures went from being optimistic to being disappointed as the results started coming in. And that's because while different counties, voters in different counties did approve some of these same funding measures, here in Douglas County, it appears the voters have said no at this time. Now, at a watch party earlier tonight, the superintendent and school board president broke the bad news to supporters, saying this does not mean the push for new funding is over in Douglas County. What it does mean, though, is for the time being, Douglas County will not get new money to give raises to teachers. They will also put on pause the construction of some new schools, expansion of programs, and some security upgrades. Now, earlier, Superintendent Erin Kane told us that these results are disappointing in her eyes, but she said this does not mean the district will fall off a cliff when it comes to funding. Her concern, though, is how the district will remain uncompetitive to neighbors, so voters can expect similar measures to be on the ballot in future elections. We also spoke to the board president here, the school board president, who says he believes that they'll have to work on their messaging and their timing for a better outcome next time around. Live in Douglas County, Connor McHugh, covering Colorado First.
All right, not giving up. All right, Connor, thank you so much. And the Boulder Valley School District asking voters to approve increasing debt to $350 million. This, too, will be used largely for school improvements. Those are the numbers up there, and it has seems like it has passed about 69% to 31%.
Alcohol and marijuana were on the ballot in Colorado this year. Also, mushrooms. We'll check in on those measures as our election night coverage continues.
And we have a red flag warning tomorrow, meaning a first alert weather day. We'll break down all the details coming up in your first alert forecast.
Many hot button and otherwise significant issues we're watching tonight. Voters were asked about expanding liquor licenses and allowing supermarkets and convenience stores to sell wine.
Yeah, in Jefferson County, marijuana sales and a question about taxing those sales also on the ballots. Let's start with Tori Mason on those alcohol measures tonight. Tori?
Well, guys, for voters, getting wine in grocery stores is really just a convenience thing, and this is very close. But based on the numbers right now, the majority are willing to stand by their local liquor stores. So far, the majority has also voted against allowing liquor store chains to increase the number of locations. Now, this one's also close, but voters are saying no way to third-party delivery of alcohol. It would also allow restaurants to continue offering alcohol for a takeout and delivery. That became effective during COVID, just to help give restaurants a boost. Restaurants are obviously a huge supporter of that measure, but at the moment, about 53% of voters are not. Things are looking pretty good for the little guys like Argonaut and what they're calling a David and Goliath fight. We're live in Denver. Tori Mason covering Colorado First.
Tori, thanks very much. Right now, I want to get over to Jamie Leary in Jefferson County, where voters decided 2 measures related to marijuana. Jamie.
And Jim, the divide on the marijuana issues is growing larger by the moment, with more than 20,000 votes for no on ballot measure 1B. And around 9 o'clock here, we're told there were just about 60,000 votes left to count. Now, what's on the table with ballot issue 1B is whether or not to allow retail sales and production of marijuana in unincorporated Jefferson County. With the exception of Arvada, most towns in the county allow pot shops. Now, the second ballot measure related to this, 1C, it would assess a $3 to $6 6% sales tax on pot earmarked for public safety. This would be a major boon for the county, which faces a budget shortfall of more than $20 million. But this measure is also leading as far as the no votes go. The marijuana industry group, which has been shaping policies since pot was legalized here in Colorado, told me that bipartisan support for the industry is at an all-time high. But it's clear, based on these numbers, there's still a major division when it comes to marijuana in Colorado. So right now we're told that just about 80% of the votes have been tallied out of 300,000. So to get to the point where they've tallied all of these votes, it's going to take a lot of work. But I'm told the clerk and recorder will check in around 2 o'clock, and if they're close, they're going to push it to the end. So we'll continue to keep an eye on this. Live in Jefferson County, Jamie Leary covering Colorado First.
Jamie, thank you. We appreciate everybody. All right, Coloradans also weighing in on legal psychedelic mushrooms. That measure remains too close to call.
And Denver voters have approved a measure to have property owners pay for sidewalk repairs. Time now to check in with First Alert meteorologist Lauren Whitney. And Lauren, a First Alert weather day on tap, huh?
Yes, we will have a First Alert weather day tomorrow thanks to this red flag warning. It does include the Denver area, almost all of the eastern plains, gusts up to 50 miles an hour in many areas, low humidity, dry conditions. It's just right conditions to get those fires. We also have wind advisories for western Colorado, gusts up to 45 miles an hour, and the southeastern part of the state could see gusts up to 60 miles an hour with a high wind watch. Now checking in with our temperatures, 46 in Denver, some 60s still out in the eastern plains, 20s, 30s in the mountains. Satellite and radar is quiet for us, and looking at that futurecast, we are still quiet overnight tonight. Tomorrow morning, a little bit of rain starts on the western side of the state before that snow really increases throughout the afternoon and into the evening. Meanwhile, the Front Range eastern plains, we are just warm and very windy, maybe a few light flurries on Wednesday night into Thursday. We are looking at about 4 to 8 inches of snow starting at noon on Wednesday through noon on Thursday. Quick blast of some great snow coming our way. It doesn't last for too long. Temperatures are still warm tomorrow, 70s for the Front Range, some 80s out east, 40s, 50s in the high country. And for your super 7-day forecast, we're down to 45 on Thursday behind that front, 19 on Thursday night into Friday. This weekend still a little bit cool, 40s and 50s. Maybe another shot for moisture comes in our way by Tuesday, but it won't warm up again, you guys, very quickly. We will be a little bit cooler around here as we head into the weekend.
All right, Lauren, thank you.
We'll be back with more on your Voters Decide coverage right after this.
Join the CBS4 First Alert Weather Team. Sign up to be a First Alert Weather Watcher today at cbscolorado.com. Brought to you by XL Energy.
The balance of power in the U.S. House and Senate up for grabs tonight.
And we're getting a better look at how that is shaping up. Michaelia White's with us following all of that for us tonight.
Yeah, Jim, Karen, we've been staying on top of this all night for you, so check it out. Polls have closed for most of the country. The only state with polls still open is Alaska, and results from Senate and House races nationwide will determine the balance of power in Congress. Now, Democrats currently, they have 47 seats secured, we know. Republicans have 46. The GOP only needs to take 1 seat away from Democrats to gain a majority in the Senate, and CBS News has classified 6 Senate races as toss-ups. Those seats are in Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Nevada, and Wisconsin. And New Hampshire was just called for Democratic candidate Maggie Hassan. All of those races have been neck and neck all night, and tonight many eyes on Georgia, which is tied up.
I will concede if I lose, but that's a big if right now. I'm not going to lose. I'm going to win.
He has been working to cast doubt on today's election, which is an insult to the people of New Hampshire.
And moving to the House races, so all 435 seats up for grabs tonight. The GOP expected to take majority control, needing to flip 5 seats to do that. So as you can see, Democrats trailing behind with, they've got, let's see here, 136 seats. Now, one surprising House race in Colorado tonight is the Colorado District 8. That's a district just created to reflect Colorado's growing population. So that starts in the northern part of the metro, then stretches north to Thornton, Fort Lupton, Greeley, and Berthoud. This is a really tight race. So right now, Democrat Yadira Caraveo is leading. She's got, let's see here, 49.3% of the vote, with Republican Barbara Kirkmeyer very close behind. She's got 46.8% of the vote there. So let's take and look at the individual counties reporting right now as well. So Adams County largely supporting Caraveo, while Weld County strongly supporting Kirkmeyer here. Now that small slice of Larimer County support is a little more equal there, but leaning toward Kirkmeyer. Only, let's see here, a little. We're going to keep an eye on the votes that are counted total, so no clear winner just yet.
Not going to know the results on that one likely until tomorrow, and we'll be right back.
Throughout the night, we brought you coverage from our community journalists across the state.
Also, expert commentary here in the studio. Right now, I want to get some final thoughts from Sean Boyd and our analysts Mike Dino and Dick Wadhams. Folks?
Well, we're going to start with Democrats' big wins. Mike, there's no question that voters here are far more liberal than they were even just a few years ago. But Democrats also far outspent Republicans this election. So how much of Democrats' success was due to their money? How much to their message, especially around abortion? Or was it, they had the money to get the message out?
Well, it was all those, Sean. I mean, the thing was, when the Democrats needed the money early on after the primary, when the Republicans had already spent down their cash during the primary, they had money to get up on TV early with the message. The Roe versus Wade decision by the Supreme Court was timely. It stemmed a lot of momentum that Republicans had at that time, and they were able to keep their money flowing all the way through Election Day.
Dick, most of the GOP candidates were establishment Republicans. We're talking about the kind of Republicans that in past years unaffiliated voters would have voted for. So if they're not going to vote for them, what Republican would they vote for in this state? Where does the party go from here? And how do you get moderates to run in the future?
I don't think they will vote for a Republican, John, to be honest. The 45% of the electorate that is unaffiliated are really Democrats. The vast majority are really Democratic voters. They just haven't affiliated that way. But that's how they're behaving. And it's going to be, I think for the time being, that's going to be the permanent situation.
Democrats not only kept the governor's seat, but also the House and the Senate. That will embolden certainly the far left of the party. What do you see happening down at the state capitol? And then I'll ask you, what do Republicans do about it?
Well, under Governor Poles' leadership, I think he's been pretty prudent on a lot of things, and his new budget for the next fiscal year focuses on a rainy day fund of almost $2.2 billion. That's 15% of the budget. He's putting $42 million in there to fight crime and improve efforts to control fentanyl. He's focused on affordable housing and certainly mental health continually, and also K through 12, a lot of money, almost $700 million for that. So, I think his agenda is the agenda for Colorado. As I said earlier, good policy has been good politics for the governor.
All right. Lastly, Dick, real quick, most of the Republican candidates were not election deniers. Do you think, though, unaffiliated voters saw them as guilty by association?
I think the stench of election conspiracies did impact the entire party. But no, there's no doubt in my mind. I would have one note of caution for the people of Colorado now. If anybody can look back and say that this state is better off than it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago, that's with all the homelessness, the crime, it's going to get worse because the inclinations that created that situation are going to be pursued in the legislature because they have absolute power now.
All right, Jim and Karen, back to you.
All right, thank you all.
We'll be right back.